Okay, so we're down the front of the plot now. I've got my back to the gate, and here's the 8 no-dig raised beds that I made earlier this year and I've been using through the summer this year. Celeriac and leeks here. And on this side I've got my drop-off area. So this is where I get compost and manure delivered, and it's just this short area here up to that pile of soil. There's an old IBC tank and frame here that'll be moved shortly. A load of fruit tree prunings. I have plans for those down the back of the plot, and we'll just go off over to the left of these no-dig beds now, and I'll show you what's down the side of there. Okay, up the side here, I've let this go a bit this year unfortunately, but there is a bed and then a path between the bed and the end of this no-dig beds, and we'll have a little wander halfway up. I've got some small fruit tree rootstocks planted in here amongst these weeds, and I'm hoping to graft these this next spring. You can't really see them, but there's 6 in total in here. This really needs sorting out. And part of the reason I've left it is because from here upwards I had 10 hybrid tea roses in here. They did wonderfully last year. This year not so well, and I think half of them have died. And I got in a stropper myself, and I've just sort of ignored them and left them. I think I had 3 flowers off them this year. Absolutely dreadful. So all this needs sorting and will be this ready for spring. So we're back on the central path leading up towards the tunnels in the middle of the plot. And as I walk up here, this is roughly where the drop-off area stops. It's enough for a tipper or a tractor to drop a load of manure or compost. And for the immediate future, certainly the next couple of years, that's what this area will be, and probably not growing anything else, just for dropping off materials. At the back here, just the fence over there goes to my neighbour's plot, but I've got a pear tree in there, and then some temporary composting all the way up there. These pallets will eventually rot, fall apart, and hopefully before then I will have built a whole new system out of tins, good size, and the idea is that the materials come in here, they get put into the first 2 or 3 bays, and then as they're turned up the hill, and when they're finished and ready to be used, they're at the centre of the plot almost, which is where the tunnel is. So that's the idea. And at the end there are 2 plum trees, and that variety is called Czar, C-Z-A-R. I've had some good crops before off it, but you look at the size of them, they're no good as a man the beast. I've chopped them down a couple of times, which are those fruit tree prunings we saw a minute ago, and they could do with another chop, but they're getting the final chop. They are coming out, I've decided. I think yesterday they are coming out, and I'll get 2 more compost bays there, so it's more storage for compost. Now under here, this was the last no-dig raised bed collection I made. There's 2 beds under there with a path down the middle. This all needs finishing off. It needs proper landscaping, so that means at the far end, because it's eating in a hill, the soil needs digging out about 6 inches, and then it needs brought down to this end to level them all off properly. And the path in the middle needs levelling properly, and as you can see from this path, I was using this path the other day, so I cleared the plastic off to get to the compost heaps, and you can see that the edges all need sorting, so this one needs all levelling as well. These beds are mostly done now. They need topping off with more compost when I get a delivery, hopefully before Christmas, we'll see. And then the path needs a layer of something on, either flagstones, bricks, maybe even just weed membrane or wood chip, very possibly wood chip, we'll see. And then above these beds, both sets of 2 beds, there is something else going to be occurring here, but that will be much later in the season. And I've said in past videos, it's what I think will be game changing. Certainly will be for me, and I can't wait. But more of that in a video in the future. You'll have to stick around if you want to see that, but I think it'd be worth it. And then here, this little bed just in front of the polytunnel and shed, I've had an asparagus bed. I made the mistake a few years ago. I was in a garden centre and I saw some asparagus seeds and I thought, oh, that's handy. Bought them, sowed them, growed them, planted them, and it was only when they're in the second year I found out from one of my subscribers, actually, Kristen. He's a subscriber on the channel and I've known him for a few years before that on a gardening forum. Very good gardener. He informed me with some issues with this variety, and it was then and only then that I started doing the research. Totally antwacky for me. Normally I do the research, buy the variety and then plant things. I didn't with these asparagus. I got super excited. So this won't be an asparagus bed come spring. It's changing use. I'm going to be ripping all this out. Some of the asparagus will remain where I can't see it, and it'll grow up and it'll be a nice filler, because I'm putting I want to put perennial flowers in here which will mirror this bed on the other side that many of you will have seen a lot of this year. This has been quite good. So in here I have got some plans. As I say, most of this front part here will be flowers. Where the white IBC lid is, there will be a little pond, and just beyond it, between the plastic lid and the containers over there, which is actually a pathway, there's going to be a special structure there which will be both comical, amusing to look at, and useful. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then I'll carry on walking, try not to trip up on this mud. Apologies for the wobbly video, I'm not very good at this yet. So these are all these containers. As I say, there is a path here leading to the shed. These pipes are my carrot containers. I've grown some big autumn king carrots in these before, and hopefully this next year I'll do the same. And just behind it you can see all these woody stems. This is my artichoke bed. It's a perennial bed, and I found that with these tubes in front of them, even when the ground is solid and the rest of my plot frozen, it stays quite soft there and easy to dig, so we can get artichokes midwinter out of there, which is fantastic. And so this is the composting area down here, plum trees, and back out over the no dig beds and the rest of the plot. So that's kind of full circle for you. We'll just go and have a look over here now and have a little chat about that. So this is the little flower bed in front of the big polytunnel. Many of you will have seen this featured in many of the videos in the past over the summer, and that's going to stay as a perennial flower bed. What's been particularly good in here this year are the lupins. They've really come on in leaps and bounds, and I've got all kinds of things in here, and I'm going to be continually adding more and more as the years roll by, making this a proper perennial bed, hopefully with surprises. So, and as we pan round, we can see the little tunnel. I've made a video about that little tunnel if anyone's interested. I'll put a link below. But it's one of the cheap blow-away, what they call blow-away tunnels, and I've super strengthened that. That's running into its 6th year now, still as strong as the day it was built, which is good. And here is my long-term composting area. I've had this for years now, but all this I'm ripping out. And if I stand with my back to the little polytunnel door, you can see the pathway along there. All this area will become another set of no dig raised beds. that you've seen over on the main plot area over there. So all this needs to come out, and this will be ready for spring, and it'll come all the way up to literally 4 or 5 foot away from the front of the tunnel. We'll fill this area and it's going to be brilliant. Really looking forward to that. So that's it pretty much really. We'll just pan round here. These are some old plants and pots that need emptying and sorting, and here's the bed up the side of the main tunnel. I'll be addressing this bed in the next couple of days, but I did have dahlias up the side there and I've just ripped them out. So there we go. So this video is all about just showing you where I'm at with this plot at the moment and what I plan to do with it. And it's a point of reference as well, and also a help for me, so I can look back and say, well, this is what I did when I started it, and I can keep a visual record of what I'm doing. And it will be a visual record moving forward as well. So when I've made a change in here, quite often I can make a change in the rain and you can't film it, so it's suddenly there, and then people forget what was there in the past. So hopefully I've recorded the things that I'm going to be changing so that you can see where they came from and where they ended up and what I've done. I'll be doing a video on the back of the plot sometime next week with the same intentions and same ideas. Looks quite rough at the moment, but again, it's not something that can't be sorted out fairly quickly, and we'll go over the plans for that as well when I do that. So that's it for this one. Stay safe everyone, look after yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ta-ra now.